You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 63 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with the Master of Operations, Jeff Gargas.
Master of Operations?
You should know the Master of Operations was actually submitted by one of our very dear friends, a teacher up in Chicago, Andrea, who wrote me a message about how she just feels like you seem to operate like the strings of all the puppets and felt like the Master of Operations was the right title. And I messaged her back. I'm like, little do you know his title in the Teach Better team.
Yeah, well, but I don't know, like, I maybe, I don't know if I joked to everyone or I know I've joked to Chad that I actually, like, I sometimes joke about how I'm just the puppet master here with you guys anyway. So Andrea's spot on. You know, we get to hang out with Andrea in June, I believe. I believe she said she's coming to Summer Spark. If I remember correctly, she tagged and said that. If not, Andrea, I'm sorry, I'm just putting words in your mouth, but I'm pretty sure she is, so we get to hang out again, so that's pretty cool.
Well, Andrea is one of the teachers that we know that's in Chicago that's dabbling with a lot of progressive things in our classroom. And, you know, she just always is striving to get more professional development, to reach her students more deeply. And I thought it was so fitting that she submitted a word. I love shouting and shouting out Andrea and celebrating her.
What's her handle? What did she do it on Twitter or Instagram, or what did she do?
So she did it on Twitter, and her handle is, drumroll please, it is at KALCHBRENNER, which is her last name, and then ELA, because she's an ELA teacher.
Yes. I'll put that in the show notes because I don't remember what you just said. But
well, Andrea's fabulous. Awesome. Go hunt her down.
Yeah, she is. She is fabulous is the perfect word for that. So great stuff.
So how are you doing today, Jeff, now that we've talked about your masterful ways?
I'm doing great now. I feel really great about myself, apparently. I'm doing good. I'm the puppet master, and I like that. How are you doing?
Well, I'm good, except I'm trying to figure out if you're the puppet master, what does that make me?
Puppet, Ray. That makes you a puppet.
Bummer.
Yeah, you know, it's everyone has to have a role. You know, everyone's got to have a role in the team. Just be glad that you're above Chad. That's all.
You know what? I think that if I have to be a puppet, I guess I'd rather... I don't know where I was going with that. There's really no hope here. I don't want to be a puppet. People, after this episode, I'm no longer a puppet. I'm going to go off on my own and make my own decisions.
I'm pretty sure outside of giving the shout out to Andrea, we need to cut the rest of this introduction. It's really
let's go into actual content.
Let's go into actual content. So... Well, so first off, this was a fun episode. Like, I mean, I know we say that every week, but like this was a lot of fun. This was a really cool episode. But sort of a cool common theme that I thought Don brought us to in a lot of ways. The things that they're doing in their district is this connection to their community. And you're gonna hear him talk about several of the stories that he shares, how they've found ways to bring in their community, involve their community in things, which is just building this awesome culture, not just in his high school where he's a principal, but also in the other schools and then out into the community. And it was kind of a cool thing, and it's something that we're seeing a little more of, but I don't think nearly enough yet. And I just wanted, so it's something that I know you do a lot of. I mean, anybody who knows you in the senior classroom knows that you're like the master of bringing your community into your classroom and taking your classroom out to the community. So I was wondering if maybe you could share just like a couple things of how are some ways, if I'm a teacher and I'm like, yeah, that's really cool, I've listened to this episode, Dawn's inspired me, I want to find ways to better communicate with, better interact with, better to connect my classroom to my community so that there's that support system in place and that culture piece. How do I even start with that, right? Like, what do I do? How do I get started?
You know, Jeff, I love talking about the community. I know that we talk about it all the time, but something I really loved about Don's episode was that his focus on bringing the community was by allowing the community to be who they are and just to be closer to the school while being themselves. And I guess I kind of touch on this with teachers when we talk about community, when we're, designing themed internships and trying to get community sponsors, but it can be so much more simple than that. Bringing somebody in to cheer on students when they walk in the door is something that my school does every single year. The first day of school, it's called 100 Caring Adults, and they just ask people to show up for 15 minutes and clap. And if you can allow your community to come in and just be themselves, not present, not need to give a speech, not need to kind of like ad lib and answer questions and put pressure on themselves, but just be themselves, talk about their day to day or clap for a student or cheer them on. Don's example was to be ready for testing and keep them motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that small step is more comfortable for everybody involved, and it's easy because there's no expectation besides to be a cheerleader, and everybody can be a cheerleader for each other.
Yeah, I love it. So you mentioned the testing thing, and I'm telling you, this episode is so awesome where Don shares how they handle testing season, and it's worth a couple different lessons, I think. So just a real quick background. So Don Epps is actually a seasoned veteran. He's actually currently he's actually a middle school principal at Royster Middle School, and the story about the testing and what he calls Testapalooza is really, really cool. I think you're gonna get a lot out of that. And then Ray talked about, and I don't want to go into it, but I know you love it too. Is in he shares how you need to find your frosty moment. It was a super fun story that I think it connects to the community piece again, and just Don is just a ball of energy, and it's just 1,000% positive energy. And you just feel it the entire episode. And talking with him, he's just a fun-loving guy who loves what he does. He doesn't consider himself working; he's just going to school. And I just love that, his outlook on things. And this was just a great episode. Was there anything specific that really jumped out at you that you're excited for everyone to listen to?
I'm not sure this is really what you're asking me, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm a huge fan of Don. I actually had seen his videos and the work he was doing in his classrooms and his buildings far before this episode. And so while talking to him was great, a lot of his stories, I just want you to know, you should go out after listening to this episode and go search his stories on social media, because he really does share out almost everything possible that he can and how he's impacting students. And so I think what I like most about this episode is that this is truly an episode that you need to listen to and then do more research afterwards, because the value isn't just in this episode. He's doing so many things, and I just want to continue to amplify his story and have people connect with, other passionate educators, because he's definitely one of them.
And with that, let's get into episode 63 with Don Epps. All right, so we are here talking with Don Epps. Don, super excited to have you on, man. We were just talking. I've been digging the videos you're doing on Facebook. We're super excited to get you on. I actually reached out just a few days ago and I said, man, I'm digging your videos. You got to come on the podcast. And you said okay, and so here we are. Like, I didn't even realize we had us.
I was giddy, Jeff.
I love that you're giddy. I love it that you said you're giddy. That makes me giddy. Like, I hope you feel the giddiness in my voice right now. Like, it's there. It's totally
This is gonna
there.
be an awesome episode.
So let me just start, man. We're really excited to have you on. We're really excited to hear your story and laugh with you a little bit, because I know that's gonna happen. But I gotta ask first, man, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. My son had soccer practice tonight. He's 5. It's like herding cats out there. It's awesome. And so it's a kind of amoeba soccer, and this is the main thing. He likes to do the worm, and he celebrates, and so that's his main thing. So we're doing great tonight. Doing great.
I love it. I cannot wait to get this episode started. I have loved following you on social media. I can only imagine where this episode's going to go. But Don, let's start with a little bit about you. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with your incredible background, but when somebody asks you what you do, how do you usually describe yourself?
Well, every day I'm helping people. I'm impacting kids' lives every day, and I'm just so honored to serve great people. And so I just want to be a difference maker, and by being around great people, great kids every day, that's what I can do. So I would say every day is coming to school. I don't go to work. I've been going to school for 40 years, and so it's exciting.
I love it. So 40 years going to school, man. Let's talk about some of the experiences you have that we love to talk about failure on this podcast. I'm always saying that I've been fortunate enough to fail a lot, even though I didn't necessarily like those failures in the moment. Being able to look back, I see what they've done for me and how I've learned from them. So let's talk about that. Can you tell us a story about a time that you've had a failure? Let us know what happened. Why was it a failure? How did you overcome it? And what did you take away from that?
Well, I was in my third year as Diamond High School principal in Southwest Missouri, and we had a tradition that I didn't know about that kind of went away for a few years before I came there. It's called Frosty the Snowman. It was made out of hay bales, and what we do is farmers would bring in hay, they'd stack it up, put white wrapping around it. It was a pretty cool deal. The town loved it. Well, it was probably about 3 years before I came to Diamond. It was burnt down, and so I didn't know. They just kind of gave up on it. And so my third year, they wanted to bring it back. And we had board members, we had community members, it was kids, they all talked about it. I said, yes, let's bring Frosty back, baby, let's go. And so we went out, and our FFA was really awesome, and we got it put up, kind of a small, opening as Frosty the Snowman. People made some comments, hey, that's neat, it's back. But then 2 nights later, I get a phone call, and it's Frosty's on fire. I said, oh, no, you didn't. And so I had the rage of fury in my heart, and I jumped in, drove down to the school, and it was this inferno, and it was down. And I thought to myself in that moment, you have opportunities in life. You can get beat down and let you go, let you just stay down, or you can keep moving forward. And I went to bed that night, and I thought, this is not the end of the story, because it happened in the past. They just kind of stopped putting it up. So the next day, I called a few community members. And when I just picked up the phone, they said, we're bringing it back. I said, yes, we are. So this time we had plans. We're going to bring it back bigger than ever. We had oil drums, like for oil drilling. We had 4,000 pounds of oil drums, 3 of them stacked up. And, they look beautiful. I mean, they were painted up, and it was incredible. We had another one made out of hay bales, but this time they were like moisture hay bales, so you couldn't burn them down this time. And we just had that resilience. So that weekend, me and my kids are in there. We're cleaning up the ashes. We're basically pulling out the metal out of the ashes. And I started this social media, campaign. I said, from the ashes, Frosty will rise again. And the picture of my kids, it was like Paul Revere type of propaganda going on. And so I said, we're going to get this thing going. Well, it was covered on our local news station. So I, for the burning down. So we kind of put it out there. And so then, by next Monday, we're gonna have a kind of a ceremony, bring it back on Tuesday. By next Monday, I thought, wouldn't it be fun for the kids to come out during lunch and watch this? The high school kids, they'd love to see, because we're gonna bring in a sky crane to bring in these huge oil drums. And well, if the high school kids want to see it, wouldn't the middle school kids want to see it? Oh yeah. Well, the elementary's got to see it. Well, we need the band. We need the band playing. And I went down to the band. They said, yeah, we're playing. And they brought the song out, Frosty the Snowman. They practiced maybe for like less than a day, and they had it down. And then like the cheerleaders, we got that fire trucks, and we brought in the police. Fire. It turned into a town celebration. And we brought it in. We had multiple news networks there, the Joplin Globe, because we were south of Joplin, Missouri. And it just turned into an ordeal, and it was an incredible experience. It was awesome, because what it did was our community needed that spirit. And when whoever burnt that down took that spirit, we were not going to stop. We were going to come back from it and better than ever, and we're going to use it as a sign of strength. And I always challenge schools, kind of find that Frosty moment, that moment where you could go either way in your school culture. You can either you can have that moment either drop you down, or you can let it pick you up and fortify what you really stand for. And I'm so proud of our kids and our teachers and our community. And so we had a news article done on it, like a TV story. Well, all of a sudden he calls me back, Austin Hayslip from KODE, and he says, it's going national. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And all of a sudden I start looking at like Salt Lake, San Antonio, up in Maine. I mean, all over America and beyond. And it just is crazy. And because people just love that story of resilience. We're not going to back down. We're not going to give up. When life gives us lemons, we're going to make some lemonade, baby. And so that's kind of what it came from. And it just was a defining moment. It only made our culture that much stronger. And so like I said, just a fun. It's been about a year and a half ago now, and it just really, really brings something warm to my heart thinking about it.
Hey everyone, we're going to get right back to the episode. However, I do want to mention that our Teach Better conference is underway and you can start registering, but I might have a little discount code for you. So as you head over to teachbetterconference.com and sign up for the amazing event that we are having November 8th and 9th, make sure you use Podcast Talk as your $50 discount code. Now let's get back to the episode.
We can literally end the podcast right now. That's the best story. Like, that's
Love
awesome. I love it. I love the Find Your Frosty moment. Like, I wrote that down and I am totally stealing that. So I've got to add, it was like when you were saying life gives you lemon. If life gives you lemons, just make a massive indestructible Frosty, I guess. Which is,
exactly.
but what a story of and what a life lesson for the students in your community to look at that and take adversity and say, no, we're not going to let that beat us down. We're going to stand up and be stronger. Like, that is so cool.
We had kids coming in, little grade school kids come in, and they don't, a lot of kids don't have great lives at home, and they seen that snowman, it brightened up their day. We're not going to let us get us down. We're going to build it back, so.
Yeah.
So.
Powerful stuff, Don. Really appreciate you sharing that. So let's keep the positive going. I love it because we're going to flip it around when we're talking about a successful moment you've had. And this can be something big or something small, but tell us what happened. Why was it a success for you? And then what'd you take away from that experience?
Well, it's kind of become a big thing. In the last, this year, we want to really change the face of assessments and testing as far as like state assessments. Testing and the state assessments can be like the most mundane thing. And I get it, but you can't do anything about it. I mean, we can't tell the state, no, we're not going to do it. They tried. I tried that. They said, no, you're going to do it or you lose your job. So anyway, I felt that, hey, let's make it an event. Let's make it exciting. Let's really up the ante, make kids find excitement, build some pride, build more like a game atmosphere. Like it's our state championship. And so what we did, I have incredible teachers here at Royster Middle School and an awesome leadership team. And so we started thinking about in my mind, okay, let's get the firefighters and fire trucks out and greet our kids in the morning on that first day. And then all of a sudden I just kind of exploded into this major monstrosity. So what we did, we had 4 days of testing, did it in the mornings. We came in, when the kids came in, they absolutely were greeted by the first day. We had firefighters and the police officers were out just clapping and cheering our kids on, and they come in. The next day we had marching bands, we had drum lines. The third day we have a Neosho County Community College. They brought their sports teams out and their mascot and their president, Dr. Brian Embody, came out, and then we had high school groups day 4, and then even day 5 we had parents come out. Although it wasn't even a full day of testing, they just wanted to come out and join in the fun and make signs and things. So that was step one. So kids came in. I had parents talk to me about like their kids have always had test anxiety, and it's just like they actually look forward to coming to school. They wanted to test, and they wanted to get here. And my point of it is, some things in life are not fun, but you might as well make the best out of it. You might as well make it exciting, make it fun, and make it yours. So then we're doing something really neat here. We're really selling out in brain blast activities to get our brain activity going through physical movement. So in the gym, we had these awesome pep rallies going on. So greeting, pep rally, we were dancing. The staff got up and danced. The teachers were dancing, leading them in dances. My son got out and did the worm, because that's his thing. And then so we just did all these things. I did a little bit of Cotton Eye Joe, and the kids just flip out over it, and they were pumped up. And when they left that gym, they were ready. I mean, they had their mindset right. They had their blood pressure up because they had the brain activity going, which is a good thing. And they took it serious. And, one little thing is, make it more of an event. We had chocolates, we had peppermints, we had water and granola bars at each testing center, at each testing desk. And it was just a fun experience. And the kids, I've never seen kids excited. We had adults coming to us like, we want to take a test. We just want to take a test. And so we, then afterwards we gave them some free play, just hey, have free play, go out to fun. And then we'll get back to the normal day after that. So it's been very successful.
Don, something I really enjoy about both your stories is that you take a good situation, a situation that you already are dedicated to making positive, and you make it even better. Like you amplify how awesome it's going to be.
Yeah, that's the way we do in life. Just let's make sure that we give our best effort and do the best.
Well, it's not easy to do. It's a decision that we actually have to make and actively make in the moment to say, okay, this is already good enough, but it's not quite good enough. I'm going to make it even better. And I really enjoy that about all of your stories.
Yeah. Oh, and it's funny. We called the thing Testapalooza. And today, I was reading through the ACSD newsletter, and all of a sudden on the first article there, it's middle school principal Don Epps, puts on Testapalooza. And I'm like, holy moly, what's going on here? So,
that is so cool.
I'm like, so anyway, but yeah, we're having fun. We're like I said, we have a lot of school pride right now. The culture's really good. And so we're just keep on rocking.
So I have to know, throughout all of these things that you've done, what keeps fueling your fire? What's keeping you excited to make these incredible choices to not just show up for students, but show up even better? How do you keep this energy going?
Well, I've always had this mindset in education that I want to be in my class or I want to be in my school. I would never want to, if I was something I enjoy as a student, and this if I was a student, I would enjoy what we're doing as a school. And I'm not interested in being average, as far as our school, as far as how we look at things. And I'm been inspired by so many people out there right now doing awesome things across the globe, in education. But, I just have this fuel to say, hey, we're going to be chasing greatness, and that's just being the best you can be, and so that's where we're kind of going from.
I think that is such an incredible thing that I hope every listener takes that piece away. And because that was such a valuable advice, I'm not going to let you get away just yet with that. I want to know how we can shift that and give advice to the teachers that are looking to adopt this mentality, looking to have a classroom that reaches more students. What advice do you give our teachers to really move in this way?
Well, first off, we live in a world right now where kids don't necessarily respect the position, they respect the person. And you have to build that relationship. And it's just very critical that you build that trust relationship and build that culture. And that's what I want to do as a principal. I wanted to take my classroom culture and put it to a building. And so basically, you need, in the school culture, you have to be willing to fail to get better. And you have to be willing to try new ideas and go places you're not comfortable going. Because if you don't go places you're not comfortable going, then you'll never grow. And so I've been so blessed to work with so many great educators who have changed it up at year 15, year 20, year 25, and went out and tried new things, and that those are the people that inspire me. Because if the culture's right, any failure is an opportunity to grow, period. That's what I believe.
That's awesome. I'm digging that. So, can I talk? I want to talk real quick because we mentioned your videos. Can you talk to? I've been loving the fact that you're doing video. You're doing this, I think, daily. Can you talk about how sort of you got into starting to do this pretty much daily videos? It's sometimes with your students, a lot of times on your own, just kind of going and you're having fun with it. Can you share with us sort of that journey that you've been on?
So like I said, I was Diamond High School principal for 3 years, and so I had a chance to move closer back up to my family, my parents, and so that's when I started my journey here at Royster Middle School in Southeast Kansas, Chanute, Kansas. So, I experimented. I had a really big fail on my first one. I always did a morning motivation. I had a very powerful message from Principal Kafali, and talking about your kids need to hear your voice every day. So I just glued onto that, and so I started these morning motivations and I get on the intercom and I just turn it loose for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then I started a character board. So I had a whiteboard that I just put these character things and character quotes and character terms and pictures, and that became a huge thing. So then one day I had one of my senior students, I said, why don't you film me and just film me do one of these so I can, and maybe put it on Twitter so because other people wanted to hear it. So I did. And when I got back to video, all he did was tape my belly. Now, if you know me, I'm about $3 bills, and I'm like saying, why did you? And I had one of those horrible polos, like the black line down the middle, and like, holy moly, looked like a billboard. And so I knew it couldn't get any worse from that. And so then when I came to Royster, I'll be honest, I've been on Twitter quite a while, but I wasn't a big Facebook person, before this year. And I said, if I want to reach my community, if I want to reach our parents and our kids, I have to open up Facebook. And I did. And all of a sudden, it just started taking off. And I've been doing this for quite a while, but I just this year started putting them on YouTube and on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And they can be anything from celebrating what's going on here at the school. They can be talking about character quotes. And I have a really exciting character theme we're going to be starting next year. And it's just turned into a kind of its own entity. We have school bus races. So I did a big school bus race promo, like Saturday, and just have fun. Then I left out for Testapalooza. What I left out was our staff. They want to do videos. So we did countdown videos, and they were amazing. And the people just ate them up. So 7 days before we started Testapalooza, we started them off. It got to I was day 7. Me and Charlie, my son, and my daughter Sarah, and we had to pick up the ante. I mean, we had to really pick it up, because it was so the teacher did such a great job. And so now it's kind of become our thing is that I usually do a morning motivation intercom, but also I tag it, with the YouTube message, and I put something out on Facebook usually every morning. And the main thing is, let's be positive. There's too much negative in the world. There's too much negative on social media. And I'm just a champion for positive and inspiration and character. And let's just do things the way we think should be done. And that's chasing greatness.
I love it. It's a really cool thing you do, and it sends a great message to not only to your students, but also to your staff, to your community, that builds that connection that is so, so crucial. And it sounds like you're also inspiring your staff to put themselves out there, have a little fun, and build connections, man. I think it's really cool. I'm enjoying it, so don't ever stop doing that. So now we're going to so that was fun. That was exciting. That was a challenge for you. This is going to be the real challenge. We're going to do the next 6 questions, and your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. Are you ready?
I am pumped.
All right, here we go. What is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
Well, Google Suites, obviously, that's just beyond us because there's so many things we are not using it for that we can to communicate to our kids. And obviously Twitter, Classroom, Game Kit, there's all kinds of stuff out there. And I'm going to ISTE in Philadelphia this summer, so I can't wait. So,
give us a book that you're reading right now.
Block Breaker, get it now. Brian Aspinall. Don't even go out, get on the Amazon. The Pepper Effect, all right, by my man, Sean Gilliard. It's just amazing. So, all right, Sean Gilliard, Brian Aspinall, they got it going on right now.
Great books. Who do we need to follow on Twitter today?
Well, I love my man, Hans Apel. He's doing great stuff with Character Strong, and Bethany Hill, Joe Sanfilippo, Adam Welcome, all right, Jennifer Contucci, Jay Billy. It just goes on. Where can you stop?
Yeah,
Shelley, I'm just so inspired by these people. Hamish Brewer. Good Lord. You got all these people. It's awesome.
I'm loving it. Give us a YouTube channel or website for educators.
Awardwinningculture.com with their podcast. All right. EMS Wildcats 1, going up to Washington State. They're doing great work with character building, and it's a kid-driven podcast. They're getting some big-time guests up there, and on their website have great resources.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Make sure you give intentional notes of kindness to your peers. Find ways to show your peers that you support them and you care about them.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Just be the best you. I'm a genuine dork, and I'm proud of it. So just be the best you.
You nailed it, my friend. You nailed it.
Nailed it.
Loving it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And so, I didn't put in there the preface that I am very unattractive and have a horrible voice. And so I wish I was Brad Pitt.
I think you got a great voice for this, man. So, rocking, dude. That's all right. I always say I've got the perfect face for podcasting. Don,
so.
You guys are ridiculous, but there was a ton of value in this episode. Don, I'm so glad that you decided to come and join us because I just think I was like taking notes the whole time.
Yeah, I've got a lot of notes.
Hey, you inspire me, and I good luck. I mean, you got that conference coming up next year. That's awesome. So just good luck with that, and that'd be great.
Don, I want to make sure that our listeners are able to connect with you, because this is not just the only time they should ever hear all of your messages, hear your stories. There is so much out there that you're able to share with people. So would you mind sharing out how people can connect with you?
Yep. On Twitter at @DEppsDon. It's weird. I should have changed it a long time ago, but it's capital D. When I started Twitter, I didn't know any better. Capital DEPPS Don, and then also Instagram at Epps.Don, and Facebook is just Don Epps, I guess. People seem to find me, and then on YouTube channel. Oh, that's my big one. Don Epps on YouTube channel. So.
And you can find all the links and all the resources and everything we talked about with Don over at teachbetter.com, especially those really important links for connecting and continuing the conversation with Don. So make sure you head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And please give us a rating review. Let us know how we're doing. And then if you could take it one step further, think of 3 or 5 of your colleagues, your friends, your family who need to hear these amazing stories like Don's, and share this podcast with them. We want to get it out. We want to continue to do this and share more and more stories. So please do that. Don, man, really appreciate you taking time, sharing your stories and your awesome message with us. Man, we just appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys more. Keep rocking. Making a difference every day. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that a whole lot. And until next time, let's get out there. Let's teach better.